Hello, welcome back to Cocktails and Cliff Notes. I'm your host, Mason, and today we are talking about Prometheus and the fire of the gods. This is the story of the Titan who angered the gods to bring us light. And our cocktail today is going to be the Eggnog Espresso Martini. I'm going to show you how we're going to mix that up, and then once we have our drinks, we can really talk. First thing we're going to do, we're going to fill our shaker up with ice. Then we are going to add 1.5 ounces of vodka. Then you can choose based on how much you like coffee if you want to do a single or a double shot of espresso. I chose a double. Take your eggnog and we're going to add 2 ounces of that. Pop a lid on that and let's give it a good shake. Now we'll pop that on there, but before we do that, let's go ahead and get some ice in our cup. We will strain that into the glass. And let's add a candy cane. And for mine, I am going to add a little bit of whipped cream, which I added some eggnog to so that it would go flawlessly. That's our cocktail for today. Oh, that might be one of my favorites that I've made thus far. Wow. Can't even get over how good that is. But we're just going to get into our story anyway. Today we're talking about Prometheus. This is the firebringer. This is the rebel who gave mankind its greatest gift and paid the eternal price. So the story goes just like this. Before fire was a thing, before it burned in every hearth, the gods ruled Olympus and they were brilliant, they were eternal. Among the Titans, the ancient beings older than the gods themselves, there was one who actually had this deep love and affection for humanity, and his name was Prometheus. Now, Prometheus, the forethinker, he had shaped mankind from clay and molding them in the image of God. His creations were frail. They were very cold. They were shivering in the dark. And so Zeus, king of the gods, he looked upon mankind and he basically was like, let them crawl and die as they must. They are not fit for the gifts of heaven. Well, okay. Come on, Zeus. That's a little harsh and cold. And Prometheus is like, I love these guys. And so he actually saw all this potential in humankind. He didn't see them as beasts, he saw them as beings capable of greatness. And so he very gently whispered, all they need is a spark. So Prometheus just goes to town. He just devises this little plan and he actually ascended from Olympus in secret and he crept into the chariot halls where Helios, the sun god, kept his flame. So there he actually took a little stick of fennel and he lit it, and it was small enough to hide but strong enough to hold the fire. Now, with it, he was stealing the very flame of the gods. So, when he returned to Earth, he offered it to humanity, and fire blazed in the darkness for the first times. It warmed people's hands, it cooked their food, it hardened their metal, and it lit their cities. So the world awoke, and mankind began to thrive. Now, from the heavens, there's all these little fires going off and they're just glowing, lighting up the damn night. And of course, Zeus is like, what is that? And so he sees it and immediately he's like, who gave them fire? He's not happy about this. So Zeus gets all pissed and the thunder just rolls over the mountains and his voice echoes, you would give my fire, my divine power to mortals? Well, Prometheus is like, I don't care what you do. They needed it. And I love humans. So Do your worst. He basically makes the point. They're made in your image, Zeus. Don't you think that they deserve a little bit of fire? Don't you think they deserve just a spark of your greatness? But Zeus was like, I don't like this. And I'm actually seeing your rebellion as dangerous. So you will be punished. And fire for humans was more than just warmth and fully cooked food. It was the spark that gave them knowledge. It gave them craft. It gave them ambition. And if you really think about it, it was the actual link to human survival. And so Zeus was like, this is a lot more than just keeping their hands warm, bud. We're going to have a problem. And on top of it all, Zeus was very fearful that humans might become so smart and so powerful that they might challenge even the gods. And so he devises this punishment, and it is worthy of eternity. So Prometheus was taken to Caucasus Mountains. Now, this is just basically a barren peak that stretches above the clouds. And there he is put into chains that are made of unbreakable bronze. Now, every morning, an eagle is going to come, and the eagle was like the sacred bird of Zeus himself. And it would descend upon Prometheus and it would tear open his chest and devour his liver. And now the liver was seen as the seat of courage and life. Now, each night the wound would heal, but each dawn the torment would begin anew. Now, Prometheus, he starts his little eternal hell and he doesn't really care. I mean, he does because it's not like super pleasant, but he never really repented. He never said, I'm sorry, guys, I made a mistake, because even in agony, he endured in silence. Never said sorry. His eyes were on the horizon. He watched as the fires he had given man flickered across the world below. Each flame was a symbol of human progress, of art, of science, of hope. And though chained, he smiled because fire could never be taken back. So, centuries go on. And he is chained on top of this mountain, getting pecked at by a damn bird. And finally, Hercules, I'm sure you've heard of Hercules. Hercules is bebopping past this mountain. And he actually sees Prometheus. He needs some help. So Hercules himself actually draws his bow and shoots the eagle from the sky. And with that, he also went over, broke the Titan's chains, and Zeus actually allowed this to happen. He allowed this because the punishment had ended, and because even Zeus himself had come to see that the fire had changed the world forever, and it wasn't actually such a bad thing. It had been centuries, and he's like, well, you know, maybe withholding from my beloved humankind was maybe not the best move. Maybe Prometheus was onto something. Nothing horrendous has happened. They're just basically warm, and their food is medium well instead of full on rare. So, okay, I will allow this. Punishment's over. Now, the Greeks believed that from Prometheus's spark came all human invention. Every forge, every lamp, every idea that lights the dark, Prometheus is the reason. And he became a symbol of defiance, of enlightenment, and sacrifice. He was the first rebel, the first bringer of knowledge, and the champion of mankind. From that fire, civilization was born. So, whenever a flame burns in the dark, Prometheus' spirit still lives, reminding us that the greatest gift often comes with the greatest cost. Now, Prometheus' story teaches us that every spark of progress, every act of creation comes from someone brave enough to challenge darkness itself. He gave humanity fire, and with it, the power to dream, which is pretty great. Pretty good story, if you ask me. So, here is to the fire within us, the light that never dies. Cheers to Prometheus.